Hey everyone and welcome. So I want to talk about another way that I have made money throughout the years, and this one is not e-commerce based, but it was pretty simple to do, and I did it for a number of years, and that is I purchased used vehicles and I rented them out on an app called Turo. So I live in New Hampshire. I'm about 45 minutes north of Boston, which is a major airport location in the United States. And Boston is a major metropolitan city. The rental car market is so expensive there. So a lot of people who were flying into Boston were looking for a more economical option. So when I first heard about Turo, I started to research online and I signed up for Turo. I just went onto the app and I looked at what economical sedans were renting for per day out of the Boston Logan International Airport. So I had an idea. They were renting at the time, I think, for like $45 to $48 a day. I didn't want to be the highest priced option. I wanted to be kind of a lower priced option because I wanted the vehicles always rented out. I didn't want the vehicles sitting because I knew, all right, if I could rent the car for 20 days of the month, I would have the car would not be sitting. I wouldn't have to pay to store the car in Boston. Like most cities, parking is very expensive. So I knew, all right, this car needs to be moving at all times. Somebody needs to have the vehicle in their possession because then it's earning me money and it's not costing me money. So I went out and I found an economical vehicle. I think my first one was a 2009 Nissan Sentra. And I purchased the vehicle, I cleaned it, I made it look really good. I took it to an empty parking lot. I took a lot of nice pictures of the car, so it was really appealing to people who were coming into Boston looking for a small car to get around the city that they could rent for an inexpensive rate. And then I listed the car on Turo. I think I put like $100 delivery fee to the airport with no plan at all. I had no plan on how I was going to get the car to Boston from New Hampshire and pick this person up. I was working full time. So within a day, I had a booking request for the following weekend. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I started to look online, how do I get a car to the airport and leave it there? And I found off-site parking lots that had buses that would run in between the airport and the parking lot. And if you paid to park your car there, you could take the bus for free. So I was like, all right, this is a great option. So I signed up for an account at the parking lot. I parked the car at the parking lot. I bought a lockbox with a code on it that I would hang from the door handle. And when the person would land at the airport, I would text them the code and say, this is the parking spot the car is parked in at this off-site parking lot. So they would take the bus, they would get the car, they would go on their way, they would do their thing for 4 or 5 days, and then they would return the car. And part of Turo's policy was that they had to return the car clean with a full tank of gas. So as I started to get into this business, I would remind them a day before, don't forget, you need to fill the gas tank up and the car needs to be just as clean as you picked it up. So what I would have them do is I would have them drop it off at the same parking lot they picked it up in. They would lock the key back in the lockbox. They would provide me pictures of the vehicle, clean with a full tank of gas and how many miles they had driven, and let me know the parking spot. And then Turo's app allowed you to set, a time frame, all right, if a person dropped the car off at 3 p.m., it would give me a 2-hour buffer before I would allow, somebody else to book. And I had months of bookings built out at this time. It got so crazy, I ended up having 4 cars parked at Logan. Ended up having one long-time renter that rented the car, one of my cars for 6 months. They were a college student, so I never heard from them. They rented the car for 6 months, and every week I just, got my deposit into my bank account. And so what I would do is when the person dropped the vehicle off at the parking lot, I would just text the next person and say, okay, here are all the pictures of the car, here are how many miles are on it, and here's the spot, and here's how you get to the car. So I almost never had to drive down to Boston to go and look at the vehicle. And it was really a great business. I enjoyed doing it. And then I just continued to build my e-commerce business, and it got to a point, when you have 4 vehicles and you have a lot of bookings going on, and I was just doing, at that time, by myself. So I decided at that time I was going to, exit the business, and I ended up selling all 4 cars. But it is definitely something I would revisit now, and you can go and purchase a economical sedan, a small sedan, a mid-sized sedan for not a lot of money, get a low interest rate for 4 or 5 years, and do this. And it's not only in cities. There's a lot of towns. Turo is everywhere across the United States, I believe. So, this is a great opportunity if, you have the funds to go put a small down payment on a car with a few $100 a month payment that you can rent out for, $40, $45 a day. I would say the biggest tip is do your market research. Know wherever you are in the United States, where you're going to rent the car from, and know your daily rate. Know the fees on Turo based on the insurance packages they offer, which I would highly recommend taking, because there are some accidents that do occur. And Turo always pays them out, so that's not a big deal at all. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to look into that may not know how to get started. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to share and subscribe.